Hello everyone, my name is Shaderock, and this is the next part in a multi-part series where me and my friend PK Katsune are talking about our experiences in the game Final Fantasy XIV. Each one is split by expansion. If you want to see it from the start, there's going to be a playlist that will take you back to our thoughts on A Realm Reborn, and just keep in mind there will be spoilers ahead. Without further ado, let's get on to this video. And here we are at the most appropriate spot for the critically acclaimed expansion, Heavensward.
Camp Dragonhead.
Specifically,
the memories.
You know where I am in Camp Dragonhead. The main reason we have to put spoiler tags.
Yep. That's fair.
Fuck that man. But,
alright, we're gonna make him in particular eat his own heart. Okay?
Okay. Kalema. Okay, all jokes aside, Heavensward's fucking great.
Well, Heavensward is... There's a reason that the Final Fantasy community memes about the critically acclaimed Heavensward expansion with a free trial.
It deserves...
It's because it really deserves its critical acclaim.
Heavensward has so much going for it. Gonna talk a little bit about like the synopsis of the story. We reach the Kingdom of Ishgard, which is basically at war with dragons.
They've been at war with dragons for the past 1,000 years.
Yeah, which that isn't a good setup.
It's not good. It's really not good.
No, it's a good setup.
It's not good for them.
No, I'm talking about for the plot. What do you think I'm talking about? But yeah, no, the plot of
it's good that we're coming there because we're gonna fix a lot.
Yeah. If I would make one recommendation before getting to Heavensward, play the Dragoon storyline. It makes it even better.
The Dragoon storyline is actually relevant.
I think it's...
And even if you don't do the Dragoon storyline, it's still good to do it.
Yeah, no, Heavensward's so...
Or rather, even if you don't think of point of maining Dragoon, it's gonna be useful to go through the storyline. That's what I...
Yeah, you meet certain characters. It's nice.
Yeah, you meet one character in particular.
And he's still very relevant. But you know, Heavensward is amazing. This was... God, how did I talk about it? So, when I reached Heavensward, I was a little bit burnt out on the 200 quests from A Realm Reborn, especially... Don't get me wrong, I do agree it started to pick up towards the end.
Yeah.
But that beginning segment, getting to the end of base Realm Reborn, it burns you out.
Yeah. I think... At this point, I was still behind you. I think I was just finishing up.
No, you reached Heavensward before me. I finished it before you.
Okay.
Because you reached it, and I was, like, at the last quarter of Realm Reborn.
Okay.
Then we got distracted with Hildebrand.
Yeah, Hildebrand. I mean, not fully. We started Hildebrand.
We went for Big Bridge. That was our main thing.
We just wanted to fight Gilgamesh on the big bridge because is Gilgamesh
on the big bridge.
Yeah. But, what more is there to say?
Yeah. Then, when we reached here, it was definitely an experience. Heavensward is where in my honest opinion, where I think 14 really completely disconnects itself from 1.0 in terms of its content and quality. Like, it isn't shackled down anymore.
And it starts to become more of its own thing. Well, it was already its own thing, to be perfectly honest.
It's allowed...
But it started to show that was more its own thing at this point.
And, no, because this is the first time because this is also the first expansion that introduced new jobs. And I actually do want to talk about a couple of them in particular, because this one added 3. Which I think is still the most.
Yeah, I think that's... Well, I mean... Hang on.
We don't count Blue Mage into this list as much as I hate to say it.
I was gonna say, I believe Arcanist was not in 1.0. And that technically splits off into 2 separate jobs.
True. But, in terms of, like, though... Okay, yeah, no. In terms of, like, non-starting classes, though.
Yeah, in that case...
Which, the reason I want to talk about the jobs for this one in particular is... Not even just because they're story content, though one of them in particular has a really good story. A
very good story that I'd like to say is more therapy than anything.
If I want to say one thing, though, it is that Heavensward also has one little bit of growing pain, and that's with how Yoshi and the team introduced new jobs in the expansions. Heavensward's the only one where the jobs are in the new city.
Yeah, there is that.
Since Heavensward and Stormblood, they put them in Ul'dah and Limsa and Gridania.
Yeah, and what I like is that they've made it that it's like the level cap of the previous game or the previous expansion. Yes. So, for example, these 3 new jobs, which are
Machinist.
Machinist.
Machinist. Like you want to say Machinist.
Astrologian.
And
Dark Knight. They all start at level 30, which is where you would normally get a job crystal. So, that's good. You're still starting off where any other job crystal class would start.
The main issue is because they're only available in Ishgard.
You have to get to Heavensward to gain access to them.
Which means you need to be level 50, which is a painful level climb. Because all the other jobs, you only have a 10 level difference. This one, you have to climb 20 levels before you can use it in the content you're in.
Yeah. It's rough. I'll admit that. It's rough.
It's a bit rough, but the jobs are worth it. Like, the story of Dark Knight's amazing. Machinist is, especially since the Shadowbringers update, Machinist is so much fun to play. Machinist is
the major DPS when it comes to physical ranged.
And Astrologian, well, it's getting complete rework in Endwalker.
But it was for a long time the only healer that could play both sides of the coin.
Yeah.
Which was very nice.
I do like
it. And it is keeping some of its secondary ability, where it can still do some of the barrier healing on top of its normal regen healing.
Are getting reworked. Sorry, I'm just happy that the cards are getting reworked.
Yeah, we're getting new cards, which they even showed off in 5.5, which is very nice.
Yeah, that Heavensward added so much good content. I mean, we're in a war fighting dragons before we...
I mean, what more could you want?
Yeah. And talk about... Because we didn't really talk about the extreme trials for the last one, because, well, to be honest, they're really just the normal summons. They're really cool, don't get me wrong, but they're still nothing to write home about as compared to the Heavenswards.
Well, there is Ultimate Weapon.
There is Ultimate Weapon, yeah. But I was gonna talk about Heavensward's extremes are actually quite interesting, and even still, you can't really solo them unsynced. Well, you can solo 2 of them, you just can't solo the last 4.
Yeah, and
I think that's gonna change as of Endwalker, though.
Yeah. I mean, you'll have a new level to hit.
Exactly.
Though there is still the number crunch. So who knows?
That is true. Though, from my understanding, also, Extreme Trials are also getting a complete rework in terms of their drops.
Mm-hmm. So that'll be very, very helpful.
Yeah, from my understanding, if you complete Extreme Trial, you're gonna get a coffer, which will let you get one weapon of your choice. Keep in mind, I saw that in an interview a while back. I don't know how true it is.
If they do give people the option to get a coffer as opposed to a random weapon on the wheel, that'd be really helpful.
But
it definitely crunched down the amount of runs people needed to.
Yeah, I will say I do really like because I would like to talk. I think we kind of how's this? We really didn't want to talk about the areas for Realm Reborn just because a lot of Realm Reborn is pretty much the majority of the map still.
Yeah.
I mean, Grant Endwalker is supposedly going to be the largest so far, so let's see if it beats it. But Ishgard, the Cloud Sea, so many areas in Heavensward are just so gorgeous in different ways. Like, I love the snowy environment of Ishgard.
Oh, yes.
Though, I'll be honest.
The snow, while not natural, because of climate change due to, meteor coming down, it's still very beautiful to look at.
And then going a step further, there is one issue because of the snow. There is there's the fact that it looks a lot like Skyrim.
I know the exact moment that you mentioned this. It was when you finally got Dragoon.
And I'm looking around Camp Dragonhead for the first time, and actually looking, I'm like, black stone, snow. Right? Am I back in Skyrim?
Which is funny, because since you started as Lancer, that means you even got the whole carriage ride through a forest?
My god, I'm just playing Skyrim! Yeah, Heavensward was actually really good. The story was amazing. There was... I really liked the Dragon Song War.
They still break me every time I see two scenes in particular. Three scenes in particular. It's two scenes after Vault, and one scene when you're first getting into the last zone of the game of the expansion.
A couple of our friends had just completed the Vault for the first time.
Yep.
And yeah, they are ready for murder.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I will still say this, because we've also talked about the raids. The raids for Heavensward, the 8-man raid is one of my favorite.
It's a favorite of both of ours. Let's be fair.
True, and that's because it's fucking Alexander.
Alexander, for those of you unaware, is one of the most recognizable summons in Final Fantasy, I'd say.
His 6th sprite is gorgeous. I spent a good couple minutes gushing over it during the 6th playthrough.
And he's almost never been plot relevant until Final Fantasy IX.
He's only plot relevant in actually Final Fantasy 9 and 11.
Yeah. But I mean, that's fair to Final Fantasy XI. It kind of makes everything relevant, no matter what.
True, but it gave him his own expansion where he is at war with Odin.
Yeah, and that's just a huge 9 reference, I'd say.
Yeah. Final Fantasy, the Alexander we see in 14 is very much a callback to Final Fantasy 9, if we're going to be honest.
Yeah.
I don't know. I love the 6th sprite, but I think 9 solidified what we see as Alexander.
Yeah. This colossal, moving...
cathedral.
Mechanical...
He feels like something out of 40K.
And Alexander does what his name implies. He protects mankind.
His unique move has always been Divine Judgment.
Yep.
Which
he's always had that clockwork god aesthetic. It's just... We could go on about how much we love Alexander, and we'd end up using all of our time for this video. So let's move on.
Sure. Then there is the
Void Arc.
I'll be honest, I don't hate the Void Arc. I still like the Void Arc. I think I just have a little bit of a sour taste in it after the Blade. Oh.
Which blade was this again?
The Blade's weapon. The resistance
weapons. That's fair. I mean, you didn't try to make an anima, Nick.
True. But yeah,
so you don't have as much ground to stand on as me.
Yeah, no. The Void Arc, don't get me wrong, I think it's good. I think the maps are interesting. I do think the opening segment of the last part of Void Arc to get a little annoying.
Yes, Death Gaze.
Yeah. Especially when it's not against the new players, but a lot of them who are coming in, no offense to them, they're sprouts, they don't know what they're doing, but a couple of them don't want to listen.
Yeah, but also not many people try to explain it.
That does happen too. I've had a couple experiences of both, and it gets on my nerves.
I almost never see people try to explain what's going on in the opening section of Dunscape.
Usually one of my recommendations is try to stick with the group. If you have more players that know what they're doing, if you stick with the group, you'll usually be fine.
Yeah. And that could honestly say a lot about any raid.
True.
As long as you stick to the group, more often than not, you will be fine. Because there's just, huge AoEs that require everyone to move out of them. Yeah. So as long as you're in the general group and move alongside them, you'll probably be fine.
So the one thing I will still give Void Arc Sky.
That doesn't help. That doesn't help when, say, you need to do math equations.
Oh, fuck that one. We'll get to that.
But that's not this expansion.
That one I have even more mixed feelings about, but Void Arc, it's still not bad. It is still very fun. I do recommend playing through it. The story is still pretty interesting. And also Sky Pirates.
Sky Pirates. What more can you say?
What more can you say about Sky Pirates? Now, overall, I think my closing thoughts on Heavensward is simply it doesn't feel as weighed down by 1.0. It is very much allowed to be its fully come into its own. Yeah. It was pretty much able to shed all the attachment to 1.0. There was no more full plate, no more cloaks. It all went to the gear set we see today, and my god. And also we got the current voice cast.
Oh yes. No offense to the original cast of English voice actors for A Realm Reborn. Because, in all honesty, they're some of our favorites from anime and games in general.
They still did a very good job.
They did a decent job. I will say, it's hard to get used to at first. For a lot of people.
I would say we've been hearing that a lot.
But once you get through enough of it, Alphinaud's new voice that's just Alphinaud's voice.
Yeah.
And I have mixed feelings about A Realm Reborn Alize because I didn't hear A Realm Reborn Alize until going through Coils of Bahamut. She doesn't have voice lines until Coils. So that was a thing.
Yeah, so that was a weird thing when we went through the coils. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Because we did coils after we were done. I think we were in Shadowbringers when we did coils.
Yes, we were.
So we were well acquainted with her current voice before we heard that one. So we're like, the fuck?
Yeah, like, no offense to her voice actress back then.
Does an excellent job. We're not saying, oh, it's weird, voice bad, blah,
It's just a very big change between the tones.
But, yeah, this will be where, if you do decide to give the free trial a try, this is where your trial is going to end. Everything from here on out, you will be buying.
Although, I will say, people who can that can maximize their play in that free trial, you guys are the real champs.
Do as much as you can with the free trial. Get as much out of the game as you can. And just enjoy yourself. It is an enjoyable experience. Don't try to treat it like a second job or some shit.
Yeah. Take it at your pace. If you need to take a break, go ahead and take a break. You're playing the free trial.
The game will be there. It's not, and 14's free trial isn't like other MMOs where it's like, oh, you get 180 days. It's like, no, you get until level 60.
Like, you can still play after you hit level 60.
You just can't go past.
You just can't go past level 60 content.
And then, with the end...
Like, you can go all the way up to the end of Heavensward. Like, and I'm not saying Heavensward the quest, I'm talking about Heavensward including all of its patches.
You go all the way to 2.9.
Yeah, 3.
3.9. Yeah. I keep forgetting 1.0, it's not Realm Reborn.
It's hard. I
think it's harder for us because we weren't there. Interesting detail, if I remember correctly, players who are there all have tattoos on the back of their characters.
Yes, they do. It is a special toggle option you can do for your character.
So yeah,
they have... Yeah.
Keep that in mind for anyone who claims to have been there during 1.0. Ask them to show the mark.
Yeah.
Put your money where your mouth is. Yeah, so that after we completed everything here in Ishgard, we set sail across the sea.
Well, not
went
quite.
Oh, okay, yeah. We traveled east.
Yeah, we traveled east, and then we traveled back west, and then we traveled east again.
God, this expansion.
We go forward and back, then go forward and back.
Onward we go!
We go forward and back, and then go 1 foot forward.